In 1999, a 19-year-old with no money and no degree uploaded a piece of software from his dorm room. Within 18 months, the most powerful entertainment industry on Earth had lost billions in revenue and was filing lawsuits against its own customers. The music business never fully recovered, and the kid never meant for any of it to happen. To understand what Shawn Fanning broke, you have to understand what he broke into. By the late 1990s, the music industry was sitting at the peak of a decades-long gold rush. The compact disc had been a gift from the technology gods, a format so cheap to manufacture and so easy to mark up that labels were printing money. Global recorded music revenues had climbed to roughly $40 billion a year. 5 major conglomerates controlled what the world heard. The labels had learned over many decades that control was the product. Control over which artists got signed, which songs got radio play, which albums got shelf space. The CD locked that control in place. There was no way for a fan to buy just one song. You paid $15 for an album, you got what the label decided you needed. The system was, from the industry's perspective, close to perfect. Fanning was a freshman at Northeastern University in Boston, and he was frustrated by a simple problem. Finding MP3 music files online was slow, unreliable, and scattered. He started writing code, not as a business plan, not as an act of rebellion, but because he found the engineering puzzle genuinely interesting. He called the program Napster, a nickname he'd carried since childhood. In June 1999, he posted it online. He expected a few hundred downloads. Within weeks, he had 300,000 users. Within months, the number was climbing past 1 million. Napster was not technically a piracy site in the traditional sense. It did not host files. It was a network, a directory that let users search each other's hard drives and download directly from one another. Every person who joined made the network larger, faster, and more useful. Economists would later call this a textbook network effect. In 1999, it just felt like magic. The music that was flowing through this network was almost entirely copyrighted. Labels began to notice in late 1999, not through market data, but through their own children. Executives' teenagers were using it. Interns were using it. By early 2000, an estimated 20 million people had downloaded the software. Metallica's drummer, Lars Ulrich, famously delivered 300,000 usernames to Napster's offices, demanding they be banned. The list arrived in 13 boxes. The Recording Industry Association of America filed suit against Napster in December 1999. What followed was one of the most consequential legal battles in the history of copyright law. The core question was deceptively simple. If a company builds a tool and users use that tool to break the law, is the company responsible? Napster argued it was a neutral technology. A phone company doesn't go to prison because criminals make calls. The labels argued Napster knew exactly what was happening and profited from it. The court sided with the labels. In February 2001, a federal appeals court ruled that Napster had to block the sharing of copyrighted material or shut down. The company tried desperately and unsuccessfully to build a filter. By July 2001, Napster was effectively dead, limping along until it finally filed for bankruptcy in 2002. The labels had won. But winning the lawsuit turned out to be the easy part. What they could not win back was the behavior. Because by the time Napster went dark, tens of millions of people had already internalized a new idea. Music is free. Not music should be free, as a philosophical position. Most Napster users didn't think of themselves as ideologues. It was simpler than that. They had experienced music as free. The convenience was real. The quality was acceptable. The moral friction was low. That experience had rewired expectations in a way no court ruling could undo. And Napster had clones. Within months of its shutdown, Kazaa, LimeWire, Gnutella, and a dozen other peer-to-peer networks had filled the void. Each one architecturally smarter than Napster, deliberately designed to have no central server, no company to sue. The labels whack-a-moled their way through litigation for years. Every lawsuit generated headlines. Every headline reminded millions of people that free music existed and exactly where to find it. The numbers tell the story with brutal clarity. In 2000 at the peak, global recorded music revenues were approximately $40 billion. By 2003, they had fallen sharply. By 2010, they had been cut nearly in half. An industry that had spent 50 years building an infrastructure of studios, distribution, and retail watched that infrastructure become obsolete in less than a decade. Tower Records, once a temple of music culture with 200 stores, filed for bankruptcy in 2006. The label's instinct throughout was to protect the old model rather than build a new one. They sued individual file sharers, including notoriously a 12-year-old girl and a grandmother who didn't own a computer. They lobbied for legislation. They stalled on licensing deals. Every month they spent in court was a month they were not building the legal digital marketplace that might have slowed the bleeding. The contempt they showed for their own customers became legendary. It took an outsider to solve the problem the labels couldn't solve themselves. In April 2003, Apple launched the iTunes Store. Steve Jobs had spent 2 years convincing label executives, one by one, in private meetings, that a legal alternative with real convenience could compete with free. The deal he struck was 99 cents per song, a price point the labels hated, but accepted out of desperation. In the first week, iTunes sold 1 million songs. iTunes saved the industry from total collapse, but did not restore it to what it had been. The album was dead as an economic unit. Singles ruled again, as they had in the 1950s, and the 99-cent price point trained a new generation of consumers that music had a value, but a very low one. The labels had traded their $40 product for a 99-cent one. They had won the legal war and lost the economic one. The final irony is this. Streaming, the model that eventually stabilized the industry, pioneered by Spotify in 2008, is at its core what Napster would have become if the labels had made a deal in 1999 rather than filing suit. Napster's founder Shawn Parker would later become an early investor in Facebook. Shawn Fanning kept building companies. The industry that tried to destroy them adapted eventually to a world those two men had made inevitable. The $40 billion empire did not die. It was rebuilt from scratch, on someone else's terms.